Hi there, my name is Emily and I am a From Our Block to Yours ChangeMaker serving in Eurasia. I just want to spend the next few minutes telling you a little bit about myself and about my story and about how I got to where I am right now. So I'm 22 years old from Montgomery, Alabama, and I came from an amazing family that taught me from a very young age the importance of loving your neighbor, of serving people in need, and of giving of yourself for that. When I was just 6 years old, my family began doing foster care, and through that, I have 3 amazing adopted sisters, but I also got the opportunity to see child after child come through our home and see my parents just really pour out the love of God on them and the love that they didn't have before they came into our family. And so just from that young age through all the way through adolescence, I just saw a great example of the love of God and what it can do for someone who's in need. And so because of that, when I was in high school, I started going on short-term trips. I went to Mexico and then I went to Malawi, and it was in Malawi that I just truly really fell in love with what God was calling me to do, and I started to realize that this is what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And so I continued going to Malawi and serving as an intern in an orphanage for the next 5 years. I would go and spend 2 months at a time, and that continued through my college days. And so when I went to college, I went to Southeastern University in Lakeland, Florida. And I spent 4 amazing years just soaking up so much about God and about what I was called to do, and figuring out my design and who I really was. And I studied social work. I got a bachelor's in social work, and I studied a minor in missional ministries. And so I had the opportunity through that to lead and help co-lead short-term trips across the world. I led a trip to Costa Rica and then back to Malawi, and then my senior year I was able to lead a trip to Turkey. And it was during my senior year that I really began feeling this call and this burden for Eurasia, for the Middle East. And I didn't know why. I thought I was called to Africa. I really did. I love Africa. It's in me. But it was during that time that I really began to just feel this incredible burden. So I have some friends that live there full time, and so I gave them a call, and I just wanted to hear about what was going on. You know, what is it that's happening over there? I said, I don't know why, I just had this burden. And they began to tell me about the refugee crisis, and I had no idea. This was when it was just beginning, and our news cycles were just starting to cover it, and they began to talk to me about what it would be like for me to come over and spend some time there, and what the needs were, and just the opportunities that were there. So in May of 2015, I led a group of 4 of us that went from my school, and we spent 2 weeks in a refugee camp. And it was during that time that I was hearing stories, the most horrific stories, and I was sitting with moms who had lost their sons and their husbands. I was sitting with children who had lost their parents, and I was hearing their stories of what it was like when they had to flee, and what it's like now to live in a refugee camp. And we ate together, and we drank tea together, and we cried together, and I was able to just chat with them and talk about life and love and faith, and the Lord just gave me His heart for them. And I sat there and wept and just cried, because God loves these people so much, and they need to know it. And so I spent the rest of the summer in that country, and I spent time with the family that I knew there. And I was able to do some other things and just really fell in love with the culture as well. And so when I came back for my senior year of college, I didn't know why I had been there. I didn't know what I was supposed to do with it. I knew I was supposed to be a mouthpiece and to tell their stories and to be an advocate for refugees. And so I just began to do that in the only way I knew how, and that was just sharing their stories with friends and family, and trying to just gain awareness and understanding in some of it. And so I did that for my senior year, and then it was after I graduated that all of the things that I thought would happen didn't happen. All the jobs I thought I would have, the doors were closed. All of the opportunities that I was kind of waiting on just didn't happen. And so it was during that time where I was like, okay, let me call this family in Turkey and just find out, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? Is this something I should do? So I called them, and I didn't even tell them I was really thinking about it. I just said, hey, what's going on? How are you? They asked me about my job search. I said, it's kind of not happening. And they said, come to Turkey. We have some refugee kids that need some love. And so I said yes. And in the next 4 4.5, 5 months, I began fundraising and language learning and preparing and tying up loose ends to head over. And so I've committed a year, and during this year I will be helping with the efforts of refugee relief, whatever that looks like, whether that's gaining awareness, helping raise support and funds, and managing donations, as well as just living life with them and going and visiting with them and encouraging them and loving on them, and starting children's programs and helping with the women, and just doing different things, whatever that looks like, of just being the hands and feet to them. And so I'll be here for a year, and I will be language learning, and I will be serving with the local believers here as well, and just really getting this opportunity to show a people that so much of the world has basically just labeled a problem. They've labeled them an issue that we need to fix. We don't want them, we don't need them, we've got to do something with them. And getting to love on them and say that no, you are loved and desired, and you are wanted, and you have no idea how much the Father loves you and how much you have going for you, and just getting to serve them and build relationships with them. So that's what I'm doing. That's the whole point, and that's it. There's nothing more than that. It's just all about relationships. It's all about love, and it's all about serving, and just really being the hands and feet of Jesus. So that's a little bit about what I'm doing. Obviously, I'm a part of From Our Block to Yours, and I'm thrilled to be able to join up with this amazing organization, and just love the vision behind it, love what they're doing there, and what's happening.